Herman Muter spent hours this week using gentle words to speak to a female orca trapped on British Columbia's wild northern coast, while rescuers captured it until the high tide came back. Mr. Muter says the whale's cries stirred the emotions of those witnessing it. But because it was just me and the whale for the first couple of hours, it just felt good to talk to her a little bit and give her some comfort. I was able to give her, he said. He recalled it all Thursday, a day after the 8-hour incident drew about 15 First Nations Get residents of Hartley Bay and others afterwards spread that the whale was stranded because Mr. Muter suspects that made an error as it went after a seal. There was no way to physically move the 4 to 5 ton whale, so the volunteers consulted experts by phone and used common sense. They reduced the number of people close to the whale to avoid distressing it, and they poured seawater onto blankets on the whale to keep it cool. Whenever she was crying out to her family, I would tell her that everything was going to be okay. I was just trying to comfort her, said Mr. Muter, who has spent about 15 years in the area studying whales with his partner, Janie Ray, as co-founders of the Cetacea Lab. Bettina Sayer Ocean's vice president for the World Wildlife Fund Canada happened to be in the area. We were watching from a boat close to the stranded orca. It was heartbreaking to hear the vocalizations. The whale was vocalizing distress calls, and it was a very emotional experience, she recalled in an email. Marvin Robinson, a counselor with the Hartley Bay Band, heard about the situation on a marine radio and came with about 6 other community members in one boat. The 47-year-old said he had come close to orcas and his boat, but never as close as in this week's incident. But he said he could only look on from the rocks above the orca and videotape the rescue effort. He said the orca seemed to literally be sighing with relief as wet blankets were placed over it. You know, when you're really thirsty and you take that first drink of water and you kind of go, ah. That's the way this whale sighed in relief. Meanwhile, dozens of seals in the area around the distressed predator were making a sound that almost seemed to Mr. Robinson like laughter. I've never, ever heard a seal vocalize until yesterday, he said. Mr. Muter, speaking from his home on Gill Island, recalled the struggle to carry water up from low tide. It was 8 hours of carrying water and pouring it over the whale, he said. For most of the time, the whale's eyes were closed when they were open. Mr. Muter looked into them. You see depths, you see intelligence, you see emotions.
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
He said he was not worried about his safety. For one thing, the whale could not move without hurting itself. And he added, I think it only took the whale a few minutes to realize we were there to help her. Asked what he learned from the experience, Mr. Muter referred to its conclusion when the whale was floating and ready to move away. She was not trying to rush herself off the rock. He said she was really negotiating which way she would go. She would go backward a little bit, forward a little bit, and then she would try to go sideways, all very calmly, very slow. After about 4 to 5 minutes, the whale was on her way leaving Mr. Muter, who once helped get a stranded dolphin off a beach, to hope he never goes through a similar experience again. Too distressing for the animal, he said. He believes the whale was part of a group seen anywhere in the region, one tracked by researchers. What we hope for, he said, is if we see her whole family again, she is alive and well, and she can live a normal life from now on.